This video is going to change the way you play chess forever. We're going to look at how you take an opening, in this case the Jobava London system, and push it into overdrive. Take it to the next level of intimidation for your opponent. If you've ever seen a car racing movie like one of the Fast and Furious pictures, you know they have that nitrous oxide. They're approaching the finish line. They boost that nitrous and just shoots them right through the line. We're going to look at doing that in chess in the Jobava London system. Let's take a look. Let's begin with our opening, which is d4, knight f6, knight c3, d5, bishop to f4, the Jobava London system. And let's say black plays e6, a very natural move, a normal common response. Knight to b5. This is all standard. You're attacking the c7 pawn, threatening the fork. Knight to a6 defends. e3, bishop to e7. Knight to f3, and let's say your opponent plays the move knight to h5, right? They want to get the advantage of the two bishops, and they want to take out your bishop on f4. Well, white plays bishop to e5, and then f6 to kick the bishop. This is all standard stuff, but here comes the nitrous. Here comes the overdrive. In response, you do not meekly retreat the bishop to the g3 square, but instead you play this move, g4. You counterattack the knight on h5 and try to take advantage of all of these weak light squares along the h5, e8 diagonal. And after pawn takes bishop, knight takes e5. You don't even retake the knight at h5. And when the knight comes back to f6, then g5. You kick the knight. And you say, well, if black moves the knight, say to knight e4, he's just won a whole piece. But then queen to h5 check, g6, and then you take the g6 with the knight, and there's a pin against the rook. hg6, queen h8, check. Well, what if instead of playing knight to e4, they say, I'll just give the piece back and have a safe position. Let's say bishop to d7. Then you just play rook to g1, knight to b4, pawn takes, and if pawn takes, queen to h5, king to f8, queen to f7, mate. And if instead of taking with the pawn, bishop takes, then the same, queen to h5, check. After g6, then you take with the rook, because you want to leave the knight on e5 to help cover this f7 square. After hg6, you don't recapture the rook on h8, but then queen takes g6, king moves, and queen to f7 is mate. Black can't even come to this square because the knight at b5 controls it. In this position, instead of playing bishop to e7, black plays the move c6. Now, this seems like a good move. Kicks this aggressively posted knight back to its original square, or its second square, knight to c3, bishop to e7, knight to f3, and queen to b6. Because white has the bishop on f4, black immediately goes after the pawn on b2 that has been weakened, rook to b1, and castles. Now, we look at this position. Any strong player, any master could have played this position for black. Black's done everything right. He's attacked the weaknesses, he's developed the pieces, but then how do we put this into overdrive? We play the same move we saw in the last variation, g4, immediately going after space on the king side, and if black takes it, white gets the open, half-open g-file, or half-open g-file. Knight g4, rook to g1, aiming right at the g7 pawn, and when the knight goes to f6, knight to e5. That clears a way for the queen to attack, and also threatens bishop to h6 to take advantage of this pin. If bishop to d7, bishop h6 wins the exchange after g6. So you figure white will just take the rook, be up in exchange for a pawn. But white doesn't do that in this position. Instead, they play h4, continuing the attack. The threat is to grab the knight on a6, then just move the queen to f3, g3, or h3, and you've got a ready-made attack going right up the g-file. Well, what if, instead of playing e6, black plays the move c5? Then we shock our opponent. Instead of playing e3, we play e4, creating lots of chaos in the center. Black takes on d4, queen takes d4, and a knight to c6, threatening the queen. Instead of moving the queen, white plays bishop to b5, then bishop to d7, and now bishop takes knight, bishop takes knight. Now, how do we take this position for white and kick it into overdrive? We play the move e5, attacking the knight on f6, and when that knight retreats to d7, we play e6. That sacrifices a pawn, but completely blocks up black's king side. After pawn takes, It's very hard for black to develop the king side. The bishop is stuck, and white controls this diagonal leading to the rook. Knight to f3, queen to b6, threatening the exchange, but also attacking the b2 pawn. So white just moves the queen out of the way. When black takes on b2, castles, g6, rook a to b1, kicks the queen at b2. When the queen moves, knight to g5, attacking the e6 pawn. And notice black's king is still in the center of the board and very hard to maneuver. But castle's queen side, the rook is perfectly placed to attack b7. Black plays bishop to g7, threatening to take the knight on c3, but then rook to b3 attacks the queen, defends the knight. When the queen moves, knight takes e6, attacking the bishop. Bishop moves now, queen to e3. And in this position, white is just, I mean, how does black defend in this position? Look at his king stuck in the middle of the board. And white has a serious threat. Knight takes d5, and a bishop recaptures, knight to c7 check, forks the king, hits the bishop and the rook. King f7, now rook to b5. You're attacking the bishop, you're attacking the queen, and when the queen moves, you just exchange it, and then rook takes d5, attacking the rook at a8 and the knight at d7. If he just defends with the rook, then boom, you double up and you win the pinned piece. And this is how we put our Jobava London system into overdrive, g4, and attack, and sacrifice. Thank you for joining us at Chess Dog. See you again soon. Bye.